If I could redo my life, I would completely cut out the teenage years and skip right to my 20s. Teenagers suck. They're meaner than a crocodile, and their words hurt more than a dagger's cut. Forget teenagers. I went to a really small private high school. We're talking about 100 kids in the whole school. On the one hand, it was nice to know who everyone was, and to have a small community. On the other hand, everyone knew everyone's business. That was great when they were your friend and wanted to help you out. That was hell when they were mad at you. I had a best friend back in those days, 9th grade days, when schoolwork got more serious, at a time directly coinciding with our hormone spikes. Whoever planned out the high school curriculum had really thought that through. My best friend's name was, let's say it's Claire, just to protect both our identities. Plus, she had a face for a Claire, as I remember back now. Claire and I had been pretty good friends since 8th grade. We had a lot in common, mostly that neither of us wanted to be there, and the popular girls seemed to be hot and cold with liking us and wanting to destroy us. But it was more than that. Claire and I bonded together in a way that only victims of teenage girls would. If I'm being honest, that might be the only reason we hung out. Honestly, Claire was a little strange. Our relationship was mostly us eating lunch together while I talked, and Claire listened with this far-out look in her eyes. She just never seemed entirely there, you know? One day, I wanted to go over to Claire's house. My parents were fighting, and I just wanted to get out of there. Usually, when I asked Claire if I could come over, it wasn't any issue. Whereas her parents seemed to never be there. My parents seemed to be home too much. She would say yes, and we would sit on her bed eating chocolate chip cookies, while I ranted about how much of a mess my parents were, how much I hated school, everything. She would listen with that far-out look. Today. No, not today, Claire said. I begged. Please, Claire, I'll be quiet. Just don't make me stay here. I'll bring the cookies this time. After some significant begging, Claire let me come over. On the way, I stopped at the convenience store and picked up some chocolate chip cookies for us. When I finally walked home to Claire's house, there was an uneasy quiet. She let me in and we silently went up to her room. I got a sense that Claire wanted me to be quiet, which was unusual for Claire. Our entire dynamic was dependent on her listening to me. I sat on her bed while Claire left the room. Gently, she told me to stay. I expected her to come back, but almost an hour went by. I started laying down, eating cookies, and just enjoyed Claire's nice, quiet house. After a little bit, though, I started to get bored. I ran out of cookies, too. We were supposed to eat those together. Now my stomach was hurting. I looked outside of Claire's room and I noticed she was nowhere around. I went down the stairs. She wasn't on the first floor. No one was there. Did Claire leave me all alone in the house? No, the basement door was open. I tiptoed down the stairs and could tell Claire was in the bathroom downstairs. What was she working on down there? Do you know that scene out of conspiracy movies, share the person with all the conspiracy theories as pasted pictures on the wall, with pieces of yarn connecting the different pictures? Yeah, Claire's was even more convoluted than that, and as I looked more at it, I noticed that despite the extra details, it was just that. Extra details. On the walls were photos of our classmates, along with names and details, like perfect times and locations, and the reasons why she wanted them dead. Oh damn. Claire was planning to kill them all. No wonder Claire didn't want me coming over when she was working on this. A point in the corner pointed out that a mass shooting at the school wouldn't cut it. She had to take out the outliers first, then do a mass shooting. That was when I noticed a photo of someone all too familiar. Mine. Scheduled 2 days from now. Arsenic while we sat at lunch. Because I talked too much and took her for granted. I could hear Claire flush the toilet in the bathroom. She didn't know I was here, and I couldn't go up the stairs without her hearing. So I found a little corner in the basement and hid there. As quietly as I could, I opened my phone and texted my parents. Phone 911. Claire is going to kill me. Literally. She's planning mass murder. Please, please, please. I'm scared. I included Claire's home address for them and hoped and prayed that for a moment my parents could put aside their differences for 2 seconds and phone in some help for me. 20 minutes must have gone by while I listened to Claire mutter to herself about different murder tactics, Google terms, and watch YouTube videos. I feared the screen's light on my phone would give away my position, so I sat as quietly as I could, just hoping my parents would get the message, phone 911, and save my life. If Claire knew what I had seen there, she'd kill me. Finally, the police broke down the door. As soon as Claire heard it, she ran to hide. Damn it! She ran to hide exactly where I was hiding, and her heads collided. Claire knew it was me hiding in the corner, and I had seen her list. She knew, and then started scratching at my face. Something sharp wedged itself into my abdomen, and I didn't learn it was a pen until much later at the hospital. The sharp object went in and out several more times while I successfully pushed Claire off with my legs. I think the adrenaline must have been rushing through me because I managed to run all the way up the stairs before Claire could grab my leg. I fell forward, hitting my forehead against the steps. I was blinded in my left eye from the blood gushing down my face. Claire was quiet, but she was vicious. That must have been what the far-out look in her eyes was from, thinking of every possible way to kill someone from every possible position. Then the police came down the stairs. They saw both Claire and I grappling with each other, screaming, trying to kill the other. Her because she knew what I had seen, me just trying to defend myself. Out of my one eye that wasn't blinded by blood, I noticed the circular hole in Claire's forehead that started to form, and blood started to ooze out. In a matter of seconds, Claire's eyes went from bloodthirsty to far out to dead. Her body collapsed on the floor. That was all I saw before I collapsed myself and looked up to see police officers with smoking guns standing over me. Luckily, the doctors at the hospital managed to sew up the bullet wound in my back, which luckily missed my important organs. My concussion was gone within a week. The stab wounds in my abdomen were sewn up. Save some scarring, there was no sign that they were ever there. But there was something not even the therapist could help me fix. The flashbacks and the memories. Little images of Claire's list. How, when, why she would do it. The sensation of a sharp pen going in and out of my abdomen. But most importantly, the look in Claire's eyes. I always remembered that look because every time I saw my face in the mirror, that look was there. It wasn't fair. This transfer of gore from one person to another. At least I didn't talk so much anymore. Right? Right?